I'm Dina Rogers, and I am the vice chair for the College Area Community Council. And I'm filling in for Barbara Brown this evening. She's traveling and can't be here. And I wanted to welcome everyone to our meeting. It's good to see everybody who we see regularly, along with those that those of you that are new. The CACC is an organization designed to provide a forum for community issues, a conduit to communications with the city, and an opportunity for problem solving and planning in the college area. And, in the age of, misinformation, Nextdoor being a news source, we have a great purpose here that I think serves us very well, and we're very happy that each of you has decided to join us. This is an open forum meeting, and your engagement is welcome. If you have questions, you can raise your hand physically or on the Zoom thing. If you raise it on the Zoom thing, give me a minute, because sometimes I don't always see those, and somebody will give me the heads up. So-and-so has their hand up. You can also engage through the chat too. And then I'd also like to thank everyone who generously gives their time and talent to help us keep our organization running and to be here. And I unfortunately do not have a good grasp of what each of our roles are called, but I'm just going to call out a couple people that I see on the screen. Kathy Bremer is our secretary, and she goes through a great deal of time and effort to bring us speakers and to recap our meetings each month. And then we've got Russell Richardson, who I like to think of Russell as our fix-it-all tool, because he's got a lot of ideas about a lot of things and he really greases the skids. Rob has been a longtime contributor to our organization. And then we also have Eric, who is our treasurer and is running our Zoom platform. I know I probably left somebody off, and if you want to jump in, and one of my teammates here, and make sure that I mentioned everybody, I want to make sure that we acknowledge that we give our time and effort to this organization.
Yeah, I don't see Bob, but Bob.
Yeah, Bob Shilkin, but he's not, I don't think he's here tonight.
All right. Well, Bob, but he is now recognized. How about that? All right. So next up, the one thing I will mention is, I'll mention it later. So the first thing that we usually do is we welcome our police liaison, and Mike Brown, I see you're on the call. If you want to give us the area update, we'd be welcoming of your report.
Thank you, Dina, and Council. We really appreciate it. First, I'd like to actually hand it over to our fearless leader and newly appointed Chief of Police,
excellent,
David Dickey, and give him the floor for a few minutes.
Excellent. Welcome, David.
Hi, Mike. Not fearless, but I think now the leader thing does kind of fall into my title. So I appreciate the introduction. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I won't take up too much of your time. I'm just making my rounds around the community, and I wanted to take the opportunity to introduce myself, kind of talk for a couple minutes about kind of the current vision and where we're headed. So I'm really proud and humbled to have been selected as the chief. I'm a little bit nervous as well. It's a great organization. We've got some great people, and quite frankly, we have some great leadership, and it makes working here a privilege, and the connection with the community is a big part of that, and I'm very grateful for that. Coming up here in the very near future, I just want to give everybody a heads up kind of what the priorities are for us. So it's a big transition going to a new chief. We're in the process right now of stabilizing our upper level management. So we just selected our assistant chief this last week. Assistant Chief Matt Kane, who's been with us now for almost 30 years, was selected as our new assistant chief. We'll be making additional selections to commander, a couple sergeant spots, and also a couple corporal spots in our supervisory ranks here in the coming week or so. So we're kind of full steam ahead on that stuff. We're about 5 weeks into this with me now, and getting this done as quickly as we can to try to stabilize our supervisory and management ranks. Shortly after that, once we get things stabilized and get through the Ventura County Fair period, we'll be moving into a new strategic planning session. And I'm a pretty simple person, but I just want to clarify that what that's going to look like is us asking very deeply throughout our entire community what they want from their police department, and then turning it over to the experts in-house here, being led by our management team, to come up with strategies to address community concerns and crime issues and the fear of crime and safety in our community. So more to follow, but we hope to have that launching sometime around the first of the year. It should take us about 6 months to get that done. Last thing, if I could just mention, or actually second to last thing, we have a community academy coming up here very soon. If anybody has ever wanted to do a deep dive that is very, very, very informative into your police department, it's about a 9-week program. They meet once a week on Wednesday nights for a few hours, completely free to the public, but it is a very deep dive into everything to do with the police department. Is very informative. We've never had anybody go through it who didn't thoroughly enjoy it and come out the other end with a lot of great knowledge about their police department and the complexities of policing in the year 2025. It's very informative, and you'll make friends for life, most likely, if you're able to attend. You can talk with Mike Brown about getting information about that, or you can just go to our website. Lastly, of course, the first 5 weeks of my time here as chief has been plagued by kind of a lot of unrest and turmoil in our community. I would be remiss if I didn't at least bring this up. I spoke about it last night at council. I've spoke about it multiple times in the press as well, but I want to be clear to everybody in our community that the Ventura Police Department is not involved in any of the immigration enforcement that's going on. There's a lot of false narratives going on both sides of this issue in the community, and I want to assure everyone here that we abide by state law. Senate Bill 54, which became active on January 1st in 2018, prohibits local police departments and sheriff's departments from being involved in any type of immigration enforcement, and we've abided by that since 2018. We continue to do so, and I just want to be as firm as possible in making sure that everyone knows, regardless of some of the narratives that are going on out there, the local police department here in Ventura is not involved in any type of immigration enforcement. We don't partner with ICE on their operations, and etc. So I am grateful. I am thankful. I appreciate your time. Mike Brown is one of our, I use this term endearingly, but he's one of our rock stars in management. We love him and the rest of our management team. We're really proud of them. They do a great job in serving people here at the police department, but also obviously folks like you in our community. And I'm grateful for people like Mike that I get to work with, hopefully for many years to come. So thank you very much, Mike. The mic is yours now.
Thank you, Chief. I'm honored, and I'm only who I am because of you and your leadership. So thank you. With that being said, folks, I'll make it pretty quick so I don't take up too much of your time. Like we spoke about last month, we had there was 10 incidents that were actually reduced in comparison to last month. Well, we're back up another 10 incidents this month. I am happy to report that it's nothing significant. The jump for 10 was in regards to some assault offenses, and that can be a myriad of things. From fights to arguments to threats and so forth. Nothing substantial. We did have one late reported fight that was supposedly a stabbing at our bus depot. The parties are all uncooperative, so our detectives are trying to sift through video to see if we can make any arrests or anything with that nature. And the other part that was up was some vandalism. There was a lot more vandalisms. There was 5 more vandalism incidents this month, which between that and the assault offenses caused us to be back up in a par about 62 incidents throughout our district. Again, the mall dominates most of the statistics and calls for service in that area. I did not see any residential burglaries in our area. There was one catalytic converter theft. But I didn't see any other trends as far as any community crime trend that we need to be worried about. I'm glad the chief touched on our community academy. That closes, the submissions close July 4th. So if you're thinking about that, please email me, brown@venturapd.org. And I'm happy to get you in touch with our public outreach specialist if you're interested in that. And then the last thing I'll touch about is usually a lot of people want to know, what are we doing about 4th of July and fireworks? It's one of those issues that you either love them or hate them. Last year, we experimented with using some drones to identify some of the problem offenders. That was highly successful, and we issued thousands of dollars in fines for people that were using large-scale fireworks, and we're actually ramping up our enforcement this year. So instead of one team last year, we're actually going to have 4 teams this year out responding and looking for people that are setting off large-scale fireworks and then issuing them some pretty hefty fines for those. So I know that's a question that we get every year, and I know we actually talked about it last year about the use of drones. So our pilot program was successful, and in addition to the drones, we also have a robust deployment with officers out responding to calls. We'll be out in the Pierpont area, in the beach. We'll also have officers at the college for the fireworks display there. So you have about 50 something officers in addition to our patrol staffing that are out just dealing with fireworks issues. So with that, any questions that I can help out with?
Anybody have any questions for Mike?
I have a quick one. Sorry, I'm echoing.
Because I have multiple devices on, I'm echoing. Sorry.
Oh,
So I noticed the Citizen app recently added our area with regular support, and I get a bunch of pop-ups about traffic injury accidents around the area, which is something I hadn't thought a whole lot about prior to seeing the pop-ups every couple days. I'm curious, how does the police department proactively work to prevent accidents and intersections that we kind of know are the more dangerous intersections, aside from the red light cameras? Is there anything that the city or the police department's doing to help avoid injury accidents where possible?
Absolutely, and I am happy to answer that question for you. Traffic is something that's near and dear to my heart, as Chief Dickey will tell you. There's a couple of things when we deal with traffic accidents and how do we reduce traffic accidents. You have education, enforcement, and engineering. So we help to educate the public when we start to see spikes or trends in accidents in a certain area. A lot of it could be education. We also have motor officers that will focus on areas that we start to see trends in high collision areas. We'll also deploy our patrol officers there. We have a grant with the Office of Traffic and Safety to actually put additional officers out that are funded through that grant to do traffic enforcement. And we also work with our engineering department here at the city of Ventura. If we start to see trends and say the makeup of the road or signals or something's confusing that's leading to collisions, we work with them to rectify that and readjust the roadway to help reduce those collisions.
That's great to hear. Thank you. And if anyone, if you aren't using it, that Citizen app can be very informative.
thanks, Eric. And thank you, Mike, as always, for providing us our update. You know, we don't always hear about those things that are going on. And look, when we come here, we get this information. So thank you so much.
And if you guys have any questions further that come up, please, Kathy knows how to get a hold of me. Email me and I'll get right back to you.
Thanks.
Kathy, did you have something? Oh, you were just saying
No,
thanks.
I'm just waving goodbye.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Folks, have a good night.
All right, moving right along, and look, we are on time according to the agenda. I love being on time, so I will make mention of it when I get the opportunity. The next thing we have up is the Ventura College update. And Vanessa, I see that you're here with us. Welcome, Vanessa. What's going on in the at the college?
Hi, yes, thank you. Lots to share from Ventura College. So I did want to share some updates coming from campus. It's really exciting times in June. First, I wanted to provide a little bit of our housing project updates. This is a rendering I don't think I've yet shared here, but I wanted to start off with this one as an image that would be in the evening of one of the renderings that we have of the building. You may have noticed I haven't reported on it. We did stall out a bit just due to some funding challenges. But we did have some exciting news recently that our Board of Trustees has committed some additional funding. So we'll be moving back on track with our housing project. So that's always exciting. We do have some new renderings of the image that I wanted to share. I don't think I've shared these before here, but these are really neat. The landscape design as well as the outdoor. We're still in the early stages of that, so nothing is finalized. But it's really fun to see a little bit what we've received from our designers, like our interior renderings, kitchen and dining, as well as what the potential study hubs and study lounges can look at Ventura College. I did want to share, we do have some news that we have a damaged tree on campus, and I wanted to bring this here to the College Area Community Council. We've previously shared about some, we have trees, I want to say last fall semester that we had to cut down, unfortunately, due to damage. And so we have another tree that was recently identified by, it's our arborist, which is through the Mariposa Landscape and Arbor Division, to be specific. And so we have a carob tree, and it's had significant damage from drought as well as age. And so due to the structure damage, it has been it's been recommended by our arborist to actually have it removed. And so that was one thing that was really sad. And so I wanted to share it here. You can actually see from the first image, it's cracking through in the middle. And then if you look on this second image, you can see like this poses a major safety concern for us, just due to the fact that it could potentially topple over. And so any failure to remove the tree really presents some unnecessary hazards to not only our staff, but our students. And so we do want to avoid any sort of situation regarding safety. Recently, last month during some commencement ceremonies, there was an incident that happened at Diablo Valley College. That's up in the city of Pleasant Hill, where a tree fell during their commencement ceremony, which injured dozens of people. So we are definitely getting ahead of that situation. I just wanted to share that here. And so this tree is set to remove next month in July, but we are very dedicated in its place. Once we remove it, we are going to plant a new one. So we are dedicated to preserving the natural beauty that makes our campus not only welcoming, but inspiring for folks on campus. And so as part of our ongoing efforts, we've decided to plant a California bay laurel. And so this native species will not only support the local biodiversity, but it reflects our commitment to the sustainability and the environmental contributions that we're making. Some great news coming from our Basic Needs Center. We're always so happy with the partnership with the College Area Community Council. And so we have seen, just due to significant increase of students coming to the center and the growing demand, the Basic Needs Center has recognized the need for a dedicated van. And so they did receive funding to purchase a van. And just as of today, we received our van fully wrapped. And so it's now going to be seen in the community. You'll be able to view it driving around, doing pickups from food share and other areas, coming back to campus to be able to provide those essential resources to our students. So if you see it, please definitely take a look. And so we're thrilled to share that this van has been, you know, it's helping us expand not only our impact, but also to bring the support directly to those who need it. And then my last one is we're getting really close to the start of our 100-year anniversary. And so you'll be seeing some really fun billboards coming up around town. We have some areas where we'll be growing that visibility for 100 years. And so one of the most exciting projects, I'll get out of here, but I'll try to see if we can find the link or get the link over. This one's an internal facing portal, but I'm trying to get a link that will be external facing. I feel like this is always fun. But we've had the task of actually scanning in yearbooks from Ventura College, even as far back as from 1927. It's one that we have within our library. And so it's something I've always been fascinated with. Ventura College has like such a rich history, not only here in the city of Ventura, but in our county, being the very first community college here in Ventura County. And so this has just always been so fun. I've loved it. In my downtime, I've just been looking through some of these really old yearbooks. And so I'm going to work with our team to get a link that would be public facing for folks to be able to view some of this. I really feel that that's such a really neat thing, being able to share that with folks, especially here with College Area Community Council. And that's all that I've got. So I'll open it up to questions.
So now that the housing project is kind of back on track, do you have any estimated time that it's going to start?
Kathy, we're still looking in February to do groundbreaking. So February 2026 is when we're looking to do the groundbreaking. If anything changes, I'll definitely report out at some of the future College Area Community Councils, but that hasn't changed. I think we're still on track for keeping that date for February. Sometime in February. March has also been discussed, but February just seemed really ideal to do the groundbreaking and then starting, of course, construction.
Vanessa, for the basic needs vehicle, did you have like a single sponsor, or how did you secure the funding for your van?
Yeah, so the funding for the van was through program review. So that department had submitted pretty much all of their data, funding needs to the college. And so through pretty much the executive team looks at all the proposals. And that proposal, it seemed not only to make a major impact to students, it was picked for that reason. And so it was fully funded.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Cherie, and I am wondering, well, first of all, how many dorms will there be? And then with that, is there going to be any expansion in services such like as a little cafe on campus or a store that has like a little bit of food for the students? Or is it just going to be like going to the Ashwood Shopping Center? So anyway, so how many units, any little services? And then if they do have a car, where can they, is there going to be some limited parking for them? Anyway, those are the three questions.
Yeah, so right now so the first to answer the number of dorms, we're actually looking at number of beds. So the number of beds that we are going to be, that we've looked at in terms of design and then with the budget was 240 beds. And in terms of a cafe coming to campus, there's been no, I mean, it's something that we're thinking about. How do we have a cafe or anything? But we've been in talks about that and nothing has yet been finalized. And it is an option that we are exploring, of course, like having a cafe or a cafeteria. We don't currently have a cafeteria. We do have some food trucks on campus. So that's still in the exploring process. And then I may have missed that last question. I think there was three. The first.
Yes. Is there, what about like a store that has like food or if they're cooking or, you know, things like a basic store? And then also, is there any parking for the students?
Of course. Okay. So stores for food, that one's the one we're still exploring, still looking to see how we can meet that need for our students. But for parking is going to be included. So where the location is of the dorms, we're looking at a current parking lot that's right in front of our Child Development Center. And where the parking will go for folks who do live in the housing structure, it'll be where the old pool was. That is where we're going to be really, that's going to be where the parking location will be for students who are in the dorms.
Oh, so they're actually offering parking. That's great. Okay, and then is it on the Loma Vista side or Telegraph side, the housing? Is it on us? Yeah, where's it going?
Yeah, it's going on it's off of Telegraph. And let me actually get to that.
And Sheree, she didn't include that because in previous meetings she's been giving us some of these updates, so it's
Okay.
some of it is sort of familiar, just FYI.
Okay.
Sorry about that. But it is going to be off Telegraph. If you're familiar with where our Child Development Center is, it's Telegraph and really close to where Foster's freezes, almost in that little area. So it is downslope, but the highest peak of the building is not going to be higher than the press box in the football stadium. And the campus does slope down a little bit. So that's
fantastic location, definitely. And then it's close to some amenities, people, Starbucks and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for Vanessa? Well, thank you so much, and I'm glad to hear that some of the roadblocks have been overcome and that progress is continuing. And I'm excited about the basic needs pantry getting that van. It seems like it's helped facilitate some of their goals.
Yes, we're happy and we're really excited. If you can see it in the community, let us know.
Yeah, well, we look forward to hearing from what's coming up next, and thank you so very much. Okay, so now, we got a primer on some tree action. Vanessa played right into your wheelhouse here, and today we have Christy Weir visiting with us, and she's going to she's from the Ventura Tree Alliance, and she's going to give us an update on saving trees in Ventura. Welcome, Christy.
Thank you. I am really happy to be here because the Tree Alliance started with Barbara Brown and me about 3 years ago, and we've managed to save and plant a lot of trees. So let's go ahead and start the PowerPoint.
Eric, are
Just
you
one
helping with the
moment,
PowerPoint?
I'm pulling that up. Just one second.
Okay. I figured it was you, but I wasn't sure.
There we go. And I'm going to just go through these first few slides really quickly because I think most of you know sort of the basics. Next, the Ventura Tree Alliance has started in 2022, or 2021 actually. Our goal is to enhance Ventura's tree canopy, whether that be through saving trees or planting new trees. You can do the big view if you want. You don't need the little side ones.
Now we have no view.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm supposed to be the computer expert.
Okay. This is why I'm not doing this. There's always a lot to go wrong.
I can keep sharing.
Anyway, we started out because Barbara and I were, if you can go, that's fine. That's fine. That's a good place to start. Our goal was to plant as many trees as possible in city tree wells because if you go around town, you'll notice that the city has a lot of tree wells existing on sidewalks. In fact, there's 40,000 tree wells in Ventura, and 30,000 of them have trees, and 10,000 of those tree wells are empty. So we thought, well, let's help the city by sort of rallying the community to plant as many as we can in the tree wells and also parks and other places. So over the past few years, we've planted 245 trees, raised $81,000, and engaged 1,500 people in our volunteer events. Next. So on Arbor Day 2021, we planted a couple olive trees at Cemetery Park. Sadly, they died. You live and learn. The olive trees are sort of droughtish and drought tolerant, and Cemetery Park gets a lot of water because they water that lawn a lot. So they didn't make it. Next. It was a great idea. We haven't lost too many trees, thank goodness. And then Arbor Day 2022, if you've been out on the Ventura River Trail where the bike path goes next to the freeway there, we were able to plant 65 trees along there. And it was when you see the before picture and the after picture, those aren't the exact same location, but you get the idea. There was a barren dirt area between the freeway and the path. So our goal with Eric Berg, with the West Coast Arborist, was able to help us, and we planted 65 trees, and most of them are surviving and doing very well. If you take a bike out there, it feels more like a forest now. Next. And then October, we decided we wanted to celebrate October every year. October is the best month to plant oak trees. So in 2021, 22, 23, we had volunteer events out at the community park on Kimball. And if you remember, that bike path walking trail that goes around the park was pretty barren on the western portion. The city put in benches, which is lovely, except there was no shade. So we decided that would be a great place to put in shade trees, which oak trees are excellent, and they are already providing shade very quickly. They're growing very well. So we planted 60 trees out there. This next October, we're gonna plant some more to finish up by the freeway to sort of make a better buffer between the freeway and the path there. Next. And then 5 trees on the corner of Main and Emma in partnership with the Midtown Community Council. There was this cinder block wall that was pretty bare of any vegetation. So the 5 trees along there really helped that. Next. Then Arbor Day 2022, which is in the spring, we try and celebrate Arbor Day every year with tree planting. If you're familiar with Santa Clara Street you can see Patagonia in one of the pictures there in the background. There's a condo association that they own their condos right inside the sidewalk there area, and they have catalpa trees that are growing in some of the tree wells that have done fine. But they had 5 empty tree wells there and asked if we would sponsor 5 new trees. So we planted 5 new catalpa trees, and they are growing great. If you drive along there, you see that they're actually surviving and growing and providing shade. Next. Earth Day 2023, Barranca Vista Park. This was a really fun project because Barranca Vista is highly used by families and children. The building in the background of the picture on the right is the community center there, and there used to be sort of a wood awning there providing some shade along the. It rotted, the city took it down, and so we decided to put in trees in that park, including several along that walkway so that they could have shade. There's a big grassy area at that park with pretty much no trees in it. So we planted 20 trees that day. We had a lot of volunteers, and we got 20 trees planted in 3 hours, and they are all doing beautifully. There was quite a variety of trees there. Some, let's see if I can remember what they were. there were some crepe myrtles, a deodar cedar, sycamores, and they are doing great. So it's good to see that none of them died. Next. Wateria Park, where there was this big grassy area with no shade. And so we sponsored 11 new trees that were planted there about 2 years ago, and they are also doing very well. It's great to see some of those big sort of open grassy areas become more interesting and shady and habitat. Next. Montalvo Hill Park was the next one that we did in the spring of 2024, I believe. And this park does have some really nice trees, but it's really heavily used by families. The playground didn't have any trees around it. So we planted some beautiful magnolias and lots of other types of trees in that area. Let's see, some, oh gosh, what were they? I'm sorry, I should have written these all down. There's too many. But they are all doing it really well as well. Those magnolias are absolutely beautiful. Next. Oh, that year also, we planted 5. We're trying to do street trees and parks. So the year we did Montalvo Hill, we also planted 5 new trees on Bristol. There were 5 empty tree wells in a row. And the one on the right in that picture is for the next year, that's a street tree, but we're planting as many street trees as possible to fill those tree wells. So the next year, Camino Real Park was our special project, and we planted 13 trees, and also did the 5 empty tree wells across from the government center on Telegraph, where there's a bus bench, and the bus bench was had no shade and no trees around it. So those are holly oaks, and that's what's on the street there now. And they're doing a really they're providing shade and already healthy. Next. This last Arbor Day was interesting. We wanted to do some tree planting in Aurora Verde because the fire burned a lot of the back section of the park, and then we lost some trees in the middle section as well. So we were able to plant 15 trees with a lot of volunteers that were there in the rain, in the pouring rain, actually, and we managed to get them all done. Nobody went home. Everybody stayed and enjoyed actually the wet weather. The trees got watered while we were planting them. There we were able to do the some ash. Couple of the most gorgeous trees at Aurora Verde are these very mature ash trees. They're huge. They're more toward the middle of the park. And we decided that ash trees seemed to be happy there. So we planted some more ash, and then some oaks, some valley oaks, and some coast live oaks, and then some sycamores, because they do well there as well. And then some we put for our street trees at that time, we decided downtown had some empty tree wells that needed replacing trees that had died. So we did some Melaleuca on oak and some Santa Cruz Island ironwood. The ironwoods that we're putting downtown are native to Santa Cruz Island. And so we decided to try some on the mainland, and they are doing quite well. Downtown in Santa Clara, you'll see several of them. Next. So that brings us up to another topic, which is the city's requirement for planting new trees and landscaping for new projects. And this will be something the college will probably be looking at as well. when they're building their new. We saw some photos or some renderings of maybe some landscaping there, but the what's been happening at a lot of our projects is the apartments or condos get built and they're approved with the strangest location for trees. You can see by these 3 pictures, this is the project that's on the corner of Sanhone and Thompson. And it has very few trees that are going to survive because they planted them, as you can see, like a foot away from the buildings. So when you plant a tree that close, the roots are a problem, and then the canopies are smushed. You know, as you can see, these are brand new trees, and they're already smushed against the walls. So canopy trees want to spread out, most of them 20 feet. So you have to put them 10 feet away from a building if you want them to actually grow into a canopy. So what we're trying to focus on with the city right now is tree planting protocols and approvals that actually will work. You want trees to last a very long time and become mature. And these trees will be gone soon because they're going to make people mad. You know, they're going to be whacking against windows and they're probably going to not even survive. Next. And we are also lobbying whoever listens about the sort of false narrative that trees are a huge fire hazard. What is the actual case is that live trees, live healthy trees, do not burn generally. Maybe some pine, pine trees might, but your basic canopy tree is actually going to provide some fire defense. And you can see in this picture, this is Marin County, and their battalion chief up there for their fire department is very, very active in trying to educate communities about what happens. You can see the house is burnt because the houses are made out of dead lumber, right? It's dry, it's ready to burn. The live trees are still there. And especially like big rows of live trees, they provide windbreak. And we all know that wind velocity is a huge problem with flying embers in spreading fire. So when you can stop the wind velocity and cool the air, which the trees do, that actually stops the spread of fire. Some fire chiefs are calling them ember catchers, where if it's a nice healthy green tree, they will catch the embers and the embers will stop flying and not hit the houses. And the houses are way more flammable than the trees. So it's hard for insurance companies to come to grips with that. They're trying to force people to cut down trees and, on properties to be fireproof. But that's not going to be helpful because we do need the shade. We do need the windbreaks. And the Tree Alliance is now working with one of our council members to propose a tree protection ordinance for the city. The city of Ventura does not have a tree protection ordinance at this time, and that's for existing trees. So what we did was we looked at the county ordinance, which designates protected trees, which is different species. The county protects about 15 species, and then certain diameters of trunks. If it's a tiny tree, it's not protected. But so stay tuned for that. It's coming to the city council at some point, hopefully in the next few months, to vote on that. And that will help us from we're losing a lot of eucalyptus groves to new development, like up on Alessandro, the KB Homes project. They just like a clean slate. Coastline did the same thing up Sanhone, that big white buildings above the freeway. There was a giant eucalyptus grove there. It was a spot for butterflies and birds, and developers like to chop them all down and start fresh, which is not the greatest idea. So we want to protect those groves and other types of mature trees as well. Next. And that's the end. California, in 2 years, lost 18 million trees. That was 2017 through 19 through drought and fire. And in 2022, California lost 36 million trees. So we are trying our best in Ventura to save as many as possible and plant as many as possible. And we appreciate all of your help. I know a lot of you do volunteer to come help us plant. So we appreciate that. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Russell, I see you have a question.
I do. First, I wanted just to say thank you, Christy, for the Tree Alliance and everything you guys are doing. It's just such important work and fabulous work, and you're doing a great job. And I also wanted to let everybody know that a couple of years ago, I worked with Christy and Barbara in the Tree Alliance, and they planted a tree in a tree well in front of our house. And I wanted to let Christy know it's doing great.
Yeah. Good.
That was a success. And again, we really, really appreciated it. I wondered how much of that you do or think you will do in the long run of working with a specific street or with a specific neighbor. These big projects obviously are great, and that's probably the best way to advance the cause. But do you do much of working with individual neighborhoods or blocks or individuals to plant trees in those tree wells? And some blocks have almost no trees or no trees.
Yeah, we have been focusing on the main corridors where the city waters the trees with gator bags. And what happens in a neighborhood is that it's more spotty. You know, you don't generally have like 5 or 10 in a row that need to be replanted. And it's harder for the city to water. You know, they have to water with the gator bags for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So it's harder for the city to go to a lot of different neighborhoods and do that. What we have is an agreement. I hope the city still has this. We should ask. If a property owner wants a tree planted, they sign an agreement that says they will water it. So then the city doesn't have to go do that. And that helps a lot. And we're very open to talking to people when they want a tree and tell them the best way to do it, whether it's through us or whether it's calling the city.
Okay, thank you.
I see a question in the chat from Edward, and it says, a city street tree was removed in our neighborhood. Is there a requirement that a new tree be planted?
Yes. Did anybody notice you about taking the tree out?
I'm just,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like just reading the question.
Okay. So if a tree.
Oh, he says no. He
Okay.
says no.
The city is supposed to tell people when their street trees are taken out, and they're also supposed to communicate with the homeowners about new trees being planted. We have a tree inventory where on certain streets there's a certain kind of tree, but sometimes homeowners can request a different kind of tree if they find the tree to be a problem. So that is a something I think the city needs to get better at, honestly, is that communication loop. So, but I can definitely ask if you don't mind, I can give you a number for the tree department that's more direct, so you can kind of call and find out what's going on. There's two numbers.
Can you put that in the chat? Then
Yeah,
everybody could have it.
Yeah, I will do that. I'll put that in when I'm done here.
Okay, and then and so when they call that number, then they can talk about the tree not being replaced
Yes.
or, and, okay.
And then
So
they can
there are
request-
resources.
Yeah, yes.
Jennifer has her hand up.
Yep, and then I see somebody has a question in the chat too. So Jennifer, would you like to ask your question?
Well, Edward, thank you for that question. And Christy, yeah, you're right. Working with our Parks and Recreation team and our urban forestry team, I, personally went with them to develop like door hangers and a method to like reach out, because I mean, trees are really emotional to a lot of people, and we really want to make sure if there is a reason to take it out that, they really do need to go and engage with you directly. So Edward, she's going to share with you that a phone number, but also I can take down your information as well. And you can also email me and I can also get that touch point for you. So thanks for that question.
And
Jen,
then I
put your email in the chat so he
Yeah.
can pick it up because he's communicating through the chat.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks, Kathy.
And then I see one more question here from Cherie. Does the city still have a tree program where one can request a tree in the parkway? And if so, is there a cost?
Yes, there is that program. The city does get requests, and there is sometimes choices of what type of tree can be requested. Usually there's, like on tree on your street, is jacarandas, right?
Yeah.
We try to have one type of tree on a street and not like break it up with all different types. But on some streets there you do get a choice. So yes, the property owners are supposed to be able to request and, find out if there's a certain tree they can ask for.
Does it have to be in front of your house?
I don't think so, but I think you do need to express some sort of commitment to watering.
Yeah, I was just curious because along this street, there's a couple houses. I'm like, they don't have a tree in front of their house. And I don't know if they don't like the purple rain. We're in purple rain season right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a pain, but it's beautiful.
It is.
Yeah, I think it's trickier if it's not in front of your house.
Yeah,
Because
I just curious.
way
Just
easier
curious.
to water if it is
Yeah.
in front of your house.
All right. Do we have any other questions for Christy?
I do have a question about the upcoming, if you've been following Christy, the fire with the very high and the high fire zones. And like, I went onto the state website and like the trees can't have a canopy. They want them like 30 feet away from your house. And
I know, it's crazy.
It is. And so, and what could be upcoming is if you're in a very high or high fire zone, which is actually a lot of the college area in Midtown, no plants at all, not even trees, but like zero plants. And so anyway, is there any advocacy at are you going to the state level at all and advocating for evidence-based review?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and because we get a lot of grants from CAL FIRE.
Yeah. Oh, you
The
do.
state, the state fire department, and they are becoming more enlightened. That there has been a lot of misinformation about trees, and especially eucalyptus trees. It's like people were just chopping randomly down eucalyptus trees because they thought they were such a huge fire hazard, and they're really not. So it's important, and we do lobby with CAL FIRE. We also have a county fire protection group, and we are communicating with them as well, that trying to let them know that having a live tree right next to your house is not dangerous. Unless it has dead branches. And we try, what the fire guy from Marin County said is, if you're looking for fire danger, look down, not up. The dead stuff on the ground, way more dangerous, like mulch and like dried branches that have fallen down. The live tree above your house is not. So it's a slow education thing. And insurance companies, it's going to be tricky for them because they kind of don't want to see trees anywhere around houses. So it's ongoing effort, yes.
Is there a state arborist? And as you were talking, on the state level, is there like, a state tree expert that would be, a lobbyist for educating people to the lack of danger and, maybe trickling that information through?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know if there is a state arborist. CAL FIRE tends to, which sounds ironic, but CAL FIRE has a big urban forestry department, and we are getting local jurisdictions are getting lots of grants from CAL FIRE to plant trees because the trees are burning and that we need more. So they're giving away a ton of money to plant new trees. So somebody up there kind of gets it, but it's just the high fire hazard zones, the rules for those seem sort of antiquated. And it's hopefully, you can, I'm also contacting our legislator, because legislators, like Steve Bennett, can have some influence, obviously, over state policy. So that's a good way to go too.
Okay.
I think City Council approved or agreed to write a letter to Monique Limon and Steve Bennett regarding our fire zone issues and trees, because you brought it up and others have brought it up that we're creating a problem by not having the trees because they cool the climate and we have climate issues that we need to pursue. So we're working at cross purposes.
Yeah, exactly. It's not how the cutting down of the trees is not making sense for the long-term climate, resilience to prevent fires. So it needs, needs lobbying efforts.
And I see Doug, you have your hand up.
Great, thanks, Gina. And see, I just want to thank you as well. I absolutely agree with everything you've been saying. So I've just been here nodding, but we did approve for the budget $250,000 more for the urban forest from budget. So that should help at least get us a few more trees. But I also, not just as a council member, but as a landscaper, 100% look down, not up. What's on the ground. That's what happens is the fire finds a way to crawl along the ground, and as long as the trees are trimmed up, say 8 feet or so off the ground, then they're finding that that's pretty helpful in maintaining a green environment and reducing the fire risk as well. But because I just want to throw my 2 cents in and let you know that this is great work. So thank you.
Thanks.
Well, I don't see any other questions in the chat or any hands up.
Let me ask an event question. Do you have other events planting events planned for this year besides October?
We've not right now. We don't. We focus on the big October and then the big Arbor Day every year, and then little ones as they come up with street tree opportunities. But we don't have anything scheduled now until October.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Thanks for visiting with us.
Thank you for asking me.
Okay. So next up on our agenda, we have Sharon Fredericks, but I don't think I see her on the call. Am I overlooking her?
Uh-oh, did Shannon forget about us after saying she was excited to come?
It appears so, but that's okay. We have a shorter agenda tonight and it's summertime, so if we end early, nobody's feelings are going to be hurt.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, let's count our blessings. Shannon will be able to give us an update. Maybe she's taking a break because school's in break, but we'll catch up with her next time. And since we're rounding to the point where we have CACC announcements, I don't have a list of announcements, but Kathy or Russell, Kathy's got the announcements.
And I'm
Please
going to
share.
ask Jen Nance to help me. I plowed through the city's website and I made a list of stuff. And I have 2 pages of stuff. So
Kathy?
Well, why don't you hit the highlights?
well, I can shorten it and then put the details in the notes.
Oh,
If
that'd be
you want,
great. Thank you,
Kathy, too,
Kathy.
I have, and you did do a really good comprehensive list. I think I could go through it pretty quick, and then there's only 2, your last 2 that I think you can cover.
I updated it a little, so I'll jump in here and there.
Okay.
Go
All
for
right.
it.
Well, let's see if I can share my screen. It's always, it's always like a toss up if it's actually going to work. So technology is great when it actually works, but let's see here. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Let me know if you can see this. Can we see it?
Oh, you made a presentation. I told you not to do that.
I know you did, but I had to. It just helps, and there's some really cool pictures in here. So
We can see it.
okay, great. I'm just going to keep it in this format. I know it's not our like nice full version, but I hope this works. We'll kick it this first off. So happening right now, the Southern California Edison LED streetlight conversion is underway. I know I live on Chrisman Avenue, and there's already the new ones down here. So you might see them kind of around. There's a few on Main Street. The important thing to note about this one is, when council had approved the direction on the version that we have, SoCal Edison started to put them up. And what they said to us in our neighborhoods were, if you need to request a shield, make sure you give us your indicator number, and then you can request a shield. After they're done doing the whole project, which they expect to be wrapping up in July, they would charge residents anywhere between $200 to $300 to do this shielding. So definitely try to get in your requests. What you're looking for is something that's on this screen here, which is kind of this identifier. It's kind of this yellow and black on the actual light pole itself.
Hey, Jennifer,
yeah.
Just to interrupt you real quick, can that slide in particular, can you maybe send that to Kathy? Because then we can put it on
Absolutely.
social media so that people can know that if they get their shields in before the project is completed, then they don't have to pay individually for them.
I have bad news that if Peter Shade, what he said last night at City Council is that they will be done by July 1, not July 31. So basically you have a week to request a shield at this juncture is how I understand it.
I'll double check with him. We have Peter on listed here. I'll double check with him tomorrow because when we told SoCal Edison, I was like, here's the thing too. It's like, if you're done and you insert it on the 1st, or the 30th, how do you expect someone to see it only for one night?
Right.
And ask for it. So that's not, in my opinion, that doesn't make sense. So yeah, I want to double check with him on that.
That would be great.
Yeah. I'll get clarification.
Sorry to stop you, but I just figured I would throw that in there right there.
Absolutely. No, for sure. So yeah, I will share that. Moving on to our Senior Adult Center our Senior Adult Center on the Avenue Adult Center is having their speaker series. It's every 3rd Tuesday. You don't have to RSVP. It's at 4. There's a number of different health and safety and well-being topics. And so if you want the full topics, there's the website right there. And I will share this whole thing with the website so that Kathy can share it to the folks that are attending today. Sort of kind of mentioned it, but I know there's been the rounds of CAL FIRE. The hazard severity zone maps. I know another one who remembers, Jim Ackerman, also on our water commission, had mentioned this to you guys, so this shouldn't be new, but good reminder that, you know, our council has to adopt this local map by July 7th, so we don't have a whole lot of time. The city is compiling all of those comments because CAL FIRE didn't give us any kind of way to give them input directly, which is unfortunate. So that's where we said, hey, collect all of that input. If you go to this website here, we're putting them all together, sharing with our representatives to help weigh in and give input. One of the major things that we couldn't really make sense of was the methodology that CAL FIRE used to put this together. So we kind of were just trying to do our best in seeing, you know, what would make sense for our local area. But either way, we can't be less stringent than what the state has. And pretty much we did see they completely got it wrong in certain areas like Ondolando, which they said wasn't in a hazard zone at all, where we had, you know, structures that burned down. So we disagree. That's one place that we were like, yeah, that's something that needs to be captured. So reminder right there. Next week is our 4th of July push and pull and parade. Super popular. Again, 10 a.m. Come on down. The street fairs from 10 to 4. I saw Kathy put in a note there that our community councils also will be working a booth, so stop on by. Anything to add there, Kathy?
No, I don't think so, other than community council members, if anybody's interested besides the board, to show up at the booth downtown and help out for 30 minutes to an hour and just talk to residents, that would be grand. So let me know in the chat if you have any interest in doing that, if you're going to be available on July 4th.
Very cool. I see Cherie has her hand up.
Yes, I have a question about the feedback form.
Uh-huh.
The last date, well, it was June 20th for feedback, but I'm thinking you could still send feedback if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's
for
always
the-
good to give people a deadline, so we try to get them,
Yeah.
right? So, but yeah, absolutely. The form is still up.
Okay,
So
and then
we'll get it.
also, if you didn't use the feedback form, they also had an email there on the site, and then also emailing, some people emailed city council instead. Will it still get to you guys if it's that topic?
Yeah, we wanted to give as many different ways that you could share it. So do the feedback form. Again, it's all going, I mean, essentially we'll still continue to get all of those feedback. And then that will be kind of all collected then for the July 7th meeting.
So to clarify, if you didn't use the feedback form, if you emailed city council, because like mine had pictures, and so I couldn't use the feedback form. Will it still get to you guys?
I'll double check. I believe so. I mean, ahead of that meeting, and I know Councilmember Halter's on the call. We, you know, when you address it to council, it's also added as a supplemental, and so it, you know, ahead of the agenda item, that's a great way to also make sure it's captured. So, anything
And
to
then,
weigh in?
yeah, and this might be a member per a council member. I was wondering if the state will in the future offer a process if you disagree with your zone, because the metrics just aren't very clear. Like, for example, my house, it was in a moderate zone before, which I think is actually very accurate. And then the state put it in a very high zone in the middle of the urban area. Is there going to be a way you could appeal that, or ask questions, or ask for justifications? And can that be something that could be advocated for at the city council level or the state level? Just a process to appeal.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, you know, Christy mentioned it too when she was mentioning, you know, lobbying CAL FIRE. The state makes it a little difficult for sometimes even with our legislators to kind of give us capacity when sometimes when they bring these regulations down and give it to the cities to carry out. Sometimes there's not always method. So I wish that was the case. but not always. So, I think that exact sentiment is really great to continue to share with our council. So as we do lobby and share back with the state, that is captured, and hopefully that inspires change. But I agree, they just don't really give us pathways to give direct feedback, and that's challenging.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I could add to that, if you don't mind, just like to say that, that is part of the frustration I think we all have, because just like Christy was talking about with trees and some of the things that we've learned that are proving to be correct. There's been numerous articles about just maintenance of property versus eliminating plant material makes a big difference. But the reality is that right now they're not giving us a real easy way to give input. I mean, this input period is about it. And unfortunately, a lot of us, our insurances have skyrocketed and almost made it definitely made it even more unaffordable to live here. And we have to do everything we possibly can to help reduce the fire risk and create the barriers and harden our houses, harden our neighborhoods. And I know they said that this map is really all about planning for the emergency. It's not meant for insurance companies, but I just can't see an insurance company not using this as part of the reason why your rates need to go up. So anyway, so I have serious concerns about what's happening with the lack of input that we have into the process. But I do know we all have to do everything we can to harden our neighborhoods, harden our houses.
Yeah, and to that front, always a good plug for our fire safe communities. So thank you for that, Councilmember Halter. Okay, moving on, general plan. I'm sure you've seen, but the draft general plan is now live. We do have the comment period has been open until July 31st. The environmental impact report, I've heard from staff that they're expecting to publish within the next week or so, a couple days. And as a quick preview, I also heard that we might even just to allow just additional comment. I don't have the new deadline, but likely you'll have even more time than the 31st to submit comment. But that's a little sneak peek, a little preview. We're going to officially announce that once it's published, but just to give a little bit more time. As always, you can email questions at planventura@cityofventura. And then also there's a number of events that are coming up for that. There will be an environmental impact report, like open house. That'll be a special meeting. So check that out at planventura.com. There's a calendar there if you want to get engaged. And then lastly, we have a handful, and I'm going to put this, nope, there we go. We have a handful of city council meetings approaching to, and I'm sure Councilmember Halter will talk about this, but just wanted to put this out there. We have a special meeting tomorrow. Sorry, this was the last one that I was updating. But there's a special meeting tomorrow, and then they will go on their annual council recess, but I'll let Doug talk about that one. But then also Kathy had included a number of critical water meetings to be aware of. There was one on Monday for Water Commission. Also, there was a special city council meeting or the council meeting for water yet last night, and then there'll be a special meeting on July 9th, all water things. So that's it for like the announcements, but I wanted to kind of, actually, let's do golf course next. If you've been following the golf course, we did a workshop on June 19th, really well attended. We will have a recording of that meeting as well as a public input form that will be on there. So follow us on our website there, cityofventura/golf. All of that material will be brought to council on July 8th. And then today there was a special Parks and Recreation Commission meeting that was happening. They basically heard the same thing from the workshop. So if you missed those first two, you will still get a chance to check that out on July 8th. And then I wanted to end us with some fun stuff. Marina Park Playground is now reopened. We had a ribbon cutting yesterday. So if you haven't gone down there to check it out, it's really cool, really good natural wood aesthetics down there. So check that out. It's like super packed all the time. It's summer's in full swing. And then also, if you haven't seen it, but our bike path or multi-use path is now open over there on Surfers Point. So definitely follow that Omar Rains trail. It's really looking great down there. We're still working on a couple of pieces on the fairground side with the parking lot to get that all firmed away, but at least the multi-use path is now open. So that's it for me. I know there's a few more updates, but is there any questions on the city side I can try to answer?
Don't see any.
All right. I know I
Thank
went
you,
really
Jennifer.
fast.
No, but that was good. I mean, like multiple topics could have their own sessions, so we just are hitting upon them so that people are aware that they're going on.
Absolutely.
And Kath,
Thank you, Jen. You took care of most of my sheets here.
I've done.
A couple more things.
I knew you had 2 more.
A couple more things. Ryan Schumacher asked me to spread the word on the fact that he and Alex Mangoni are holding a community walk and talk event at Community Park on Kimball Road this Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. They call it Steps with Your Reps. So you walk around the park and you chat with your representatives. So come get your questions answered and your concerns aired. Camino Real Park, the Parks and Recreation Department is applying for another grant to try to get the money we need to restore tennis courts and add pickleball courts. So fingers crossed. There's a special meeting tomorrow at City Council. I'm going to leave that for Doug for tomorrow's meeting with council. And we met our new police chief tonight, and anybody who's concerned about sonic booms from Vandenberg launches, you have until July 7 to make comments. I'll include how you do that in the notes. And Jen, did you want to say anything about Main Street moves, or are we going to make Doug do that?
Doug, what do you think? Do you want to take that one? That's a fun one.
Oh, and VBG, the Botanical Gardens, free days or Fridays?
Jen, you guys have done a great, thorough job. I have a handful of things to handle, but I could happy to add my 2 cents on the Main Street moves. Or
well, why don't you go ahead and give your update and then fit that in where it fits in? How about that?
That'd be good. And then, and Jennifer, if you're still on, then you could fill in anything I leave out on this, because you guys did a great, thorough job, by the way. So you eliminated most of my list.
Well, and before just because it was today and I just went, if anyone hasn't checked out that Kentucky Stompers that's happening on Wednesday,
well, I was going to bring that up. The Ventura Chamber, in conjunction with partners at the city and Visit Ventura, put on this production. It is a 4-week line dancing downtown, right in the middle of Catalina and Main and California streets, right at the stage, and it's free for everybody. We were here, so we weren't stomping tonight, but there are 2 more weeks where you can go down and do some line dancing. And basically our goal is to activate business for downtown, whether it's open or closed. Businesses downtown need activities and activation, and we're committed to making that happen. And then just as a last thing on that, on July 16th, the same group is airing Shrek in front of the Mission, and that's going to be free as well. And some other community partners are going to be there. I think they're giving away free popcorn and some other things like that. And if you purchase anything from a downtown merchant on the days of the event, which is these 5 Wednesdays, and present your receipt, then you can get in a drawing for gift certificates from one of these merchants. The chamber purchased them. Our sponsors paid for all the costs, so everything is free to our community, free to our merchants, and just the idea to get people down there and having something to do, to say, hey, let's go downtown. There's something going on. And I know there's another group downtown that is activating on Thursday nights. They're bringing bands to downtown. So thank you, Jennifer, for bringing up the Kentucky Stompers are down there. They are a line dancing group that is help leading, and they're giving lessons. So if you don't know how to line dance, they're giving lessons throughout the evening. And I didn't get to stay last week, and of course I'm here this week, but I understand it was very well attended and very, very well received.
Is that on the chamber website? Do you have a website where all this info is available?
Yeah, actually I can post something in the chat if I can grab it.
And I was just there. People learned a whole dance in 10 minutes. I was really
Wow.
impressed. So check it out. It was really, really cool.
It's all over social media already too, and I was watching it before I got on this meeting, and
we're so excited about it. Just
it's
so
fantastic.
excited. It came together pretty quickly, and we got great partners. And I just think it's just a great activity for our city to have in the summertime, in particular. And there's some other ideas out there too. So keep your eyes open for those as well.
Great job. Good. Did you want me to give my report?
Yep, it's your turn. You're up.
You can take aim and pick one that you may not have covered, because he covered almost all of this page. But I will say that seeing it appeared to be well over 100, maybe even 200 people doing that line dancing, and seeing that just really warms your heart. It's like really activating Main Street. So I love seeing that. Let's see, a couple of things. We approved the final budget for the coming fiscal year in early June, June 10th, I think it was. And balanced budget, we put in, as I mentioned, $250,000 more for the urban forest, put in $2 million for ballards and other improvements for downtown. We increased the grant money for the arts from $90,000 to $200,000, which is almost where it was 15 years ago. But that was a step in the right direction from my viewpoint. And let's see, Main Street moves. There's a property owner visioning session on July 7th at 1 p.m. at City Hall to talk about the future of Main Street moves and what it could look like. I know a lot of us have a lot of hopes that we'll continue to activate that public space and the core of our historic city. And there are also, on July 8th, there's a vote of the property owners. I believe we're going to be seeing, and Jennifer, this is what my understanding is that we'll see if there's more than 51%, or if there's 51% or more property owners that are opposed to the Pedestrian Mall Act, which is the mechanism we like to use for future keeping Main Street closed. Right now, we're still under the Vehicle Act. Act is what's allowing us to keep it closed now. But we should know by the 8th of July whether or not we have a majority of property owners that are protesting. Doesn't mean we have to open up Main Street. It just means that the Vehicle Act would stay in place more than likely, or not if we vote not to keep it in place. But nonetheless, there is movement on both those fronts. What I love seeing is there's 2 new restroom trailers. They're pretty nice. That would be positioned for the summertime in downtown, just to make sure that we have plenty of restrooms that are safe to use and clean for our public. So they leave with a very favorable opinion of our great city. Maybe I'll stop and ask Jennifer, is there anything more important that I'd missed on that Main Street moves that you want to add?
No, just that we still have that public comment period. So we
Yeah.
want to gather all that input, and you covered that. So yeah, can't stress that enough. But the website is cityofventura.ca.gov/MSM, Main Street Moves, MSM.
Thank you. Appreciate the details. We had a lengthy discussion last night at City Council regarding our water project, Water Pure, and the bioreactor, which is our wastewater treatment facility. And through the years, through the 14 or 15 years that this has been in the works, it's gotten increasingly significantly more expensive. It's gotten complex. A matter of fact, we basically combined two projects, half of which wasn't even part of the project until we realized our wastewater treatment facility had to be upgraded, and that was in 2021. So that's the bioreactor that we had a large conversation about last night. And then there's details about how to move forward. I personally felt the presentation staff gave was very apropos and a great high level review of where we were and where we're at. But we went ahead and asked for a more detailed report of how did we go from what was $55 million 15 years ago to as we go through the design phase and the planning phase, you can narrow in on what the true costs are. And I mentioned it last night that, and I know to be true with any project, construction project, is the longer a project takes to happen, the more risks, the more variables that get it introduced to that, to being able to construct that project. The biggest thing that I'm aware of that happened when it came to Water Pure, not only were they defining this project more thoroughly, and it is a very complex topic, but I know all too well that the 2 years to the last years of COVID, price increases for the materials that are being used, piping, pumps and filters and so forth. We didn't see a cost of living increase. We saw a 30 to 40% increase in materials. And that's why housing today is so significantly more expensive to do today than it was even 4 years ago. And that has not come down. So the project is about 700 million at this point for the two, and give or take, and that's going to be further defined on July 9th. But we did ask for, as all my colleagues, I think it was a 7-0 vote, to ask for more line item details. And I specifically wanted to just see, as this price continues to increase, we're already knee deep into grants into the WIFIA loan, a loan that we took to continue funding us through this process. And what does it look like in relation to other options out there? Not that we could turn the tide back, not that we want to turn the tide back, but we do want to make sure that we're being very prudent with city or fiduciary responsibility. So being prudent with the city's taxpayers' dollars. So we're going to be discussing more about tax rates, water rate increases. We know that on July 1st, there is another water rate increase of the 5 that were approved a few years ago. There will be more. And I will say, and I mentioned it last night, that water has, in the Western United States, it's gotten extremely complex. And we all know water is today's gold in the Western United States, especially. And so making sure that we have water, making sure we have enough water to continue allowing our city to prosper, to grow, and to meet our daily needs. One thing I know for sure, having been here for 40 years and seeing the statistics, we have done a phenomenal job at conserving water as a city. As a landscaper, as somebody that likes to make sure our limited resources are used wisely, I just can't imagine how we could possibly conserve more water than what we're doing now, except for everybody to use drip systems and some of the there's many ways to do beautiful landscaping that doesn't take a lot of water, and some people hadn't caught on to that yet. But for the most part, we've done a great job. So now it's about how do we provide enough water to offer a prosperous future for this community, and without running out. And so it was always about, and I think Bert's on this call too, and it's a longer conversation, but it initially started with the consent decree off the Santa Clara River and about the effluents that was being discharged into the river. A lot of cities across this country do projects like Water Pure because of have the restrictions on clean water, the Clean Water Act. They're not really interested so much in the water that's being produced. It's really about the Clean Water Act and what we're allowed to discharge. It's complex. I think we've all, as colleagues on the council, read hundreds and hundreds of pages, try to educate ourselves to make the best decision on everybody's behalf. A lot of thought, a lot of effort has gone to get us to this point today, but it's time for us to just regroup, look at it, make sure we're all on the same page still, and see how we move forward. So that's going to happen on July 9th. CARES policy is tomorrow, okay? This was a policy to help protect parts of our community that we know that our administration in Washington, D.C. has particularly focused on it, on providing, attacking some of the protections to those groups: women's reproductive rights, the LGBTQ community, and the immigrants, or our immigrants. I think we're all very aware of what's gone on. I think we all know that what we've seen, we go putting all politics aside, and I try to remember that all of us are good people trying to do the best thing for our families and for our community. But what we've been going through, what we've been seeing coming from the national level and now internationally is not normal. It's what we're experiencing is absolutely not normal. And Liz put together a CARES Act with some help of some friends and I think another colleague. The issues for a lot of us, and it will be rehashed tomorrow, so I won't go too deep into it, is we have a state that is extremely progressive and recognizes what I think a lot of our values are as a society, as a culture that has been extremely successful by embracing the diversity and the uniqueness of all of those that enhance the value of our lives by being here and sharing their differences in a very open and safe way. A lot of those protections are built into our Constitution or into Senate bills or Assembly bills. I think what we've seen with this last push coming from Washington, D.C., with the threat of ICE, two things is, first, back up for a minute and say that I think a lot of us feel similar to the way I tend to look at things being part of the LGBTQ community, is that I love people being their best self. I support people being their best self and adding their unique potential to the richness of our community and enriching all of our lives by being themselves. I'm not the one that judges that. I'm the one that appreciates and loves seeing people being different. And that's the basic value that I will always make decisions on. And that's something that is uncompromisable in my mind. Let's see. Second is we've seen a lot of attacks against immigrants. And I know most of us are very law-abiding people, and the law does mean something. We would love to have a legal pathway for a lot of our immigrants to be here. The fact is, our immigrants, for 30 years, we've been asking for comprehensive immigration reform and to allow people a legal, safe way for people to get here and add their own value to our communities and be part of the American dream. That hasn't happened. Instead, what we're seeing right now is people that are being that don't have criminal records, that are being taken from their homes, their businesses. We've seen helicopters hovering over jobs because so much of the trades are Latino, which doesn't make them undocumented. But nonetheless, tomorrow night, it's a month and a half later after the first introduction of the CARES Act. I'm hoping it's going to be a little more civil because the first time it was not at all. Matter of fact, I could honestly say it was the worst meeting I ever attended. But I think it would be more civil, I hope. But a lot of things have transpired since that was first introduced to the council. So it's going to be interesting to see what we do, because I think a lot of us, there's a lot of people in our community that are hurting really bad right now, whether it's immigrants, whether it's LGBTQ, especially the transgender community. And so I know we're going to be hearing a lot from some of those that feel safe enough to come and join us tomorrow night. Let's see. I always welcome to answer questions. I know I'm taking too long already, but I wanted to mention something positive. More positive is the community development arena. I'm very excited at where we were 4 or 5 years ago versus today. The significant changes that are happening in community development, where we're making things a lot more predictable and timely. We have a ways to go, but that pathway is very well established. And just keep your ears peeled, because what's going to be coming next over the next 3 to 6 months, and again 6 months to a year, that's already in the works, will put us further ahead than we've ever seen as far as having a working, functioning, timely, predictable community development process. So, and that's something I know very well because of myself being in the trades. Let's see, Marina Park, we answered that. ICE, we talked about that. Streetlights, fire preparedness, weed abatement. Summer stomp, line dance. Are there any questions? I think, yes, Kathy?
Design standards is my first question. And my second question is, what is the goal in making changes to the appointments committee?
Yeah. That the appointments committee meeting, is that going to, it's July 1st. I think we're hearing that.
Yes.
Out of the rules committee. I don't know much about that, that policy consideration. I know that I think there's colleagues that feel that, I myself feel this way, that what we've done with the planning commission and each council member appointing someone to the planning commission seems to have worked fairly well to create a variety of opinions that represent our community. I think there's some concern, what I've heard in the community and from some of my colleagues, is that there may not be a lot of that diversity on other commissions in our city. But we'll be hearing more about that on July 1st. That's about all I know on that so far. Objective design standards. I know that's something, Kathy, you've been very interested in, as I have as well. I know that, and I understand, believe that housing is by far California's and lack of affordability our biggest challenge to face. So many other things are predicated on whether or not we can provide the housing we need and the variety of housing that we need. But most importantly, seeing some of the projects that have gone up. Now, being a landscaper, I always know you could hide anything with landscaping if you don't like how it looks. But the reality is, I think we would all feel much better about something new being added to our community, especially infill, if it represented the historic elements of that neighborhood. We have neighborhoods that are very well defined as 1920s or pre-1920s or 1940s, mid-century. And if we could somehow intertwine point investors or developers or property owners to embrace the characteristics of their neighborhood that they're wishing to build in, I think that's going to be an exciting and necessary step forward to embrace any changes that may happen in the future. So that's moving forward. And there's a meeting. Let me see. I did put that down. Shoot. Jennifer is right here.
July 16th.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes. July 16th,
Okay.
special DRC meeting.
Last thing I wrote down. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay. And what time do you know? Is that 6 o'clock, I think?
I don't have the time. I did not write that down. But I just was told today, so we'll have that on the website for sure.
And I know as a council member, oftentimes it changes the persona of a room when you're present. And that's not necessarily always in a good way. So I know it's something that is so near and dear to my heart that I can't wait to always hear what happened in the meeting or to see if it's being recorded. But I purposely try to refrain from being a part of it because I want the public to feel free to say and do whatever they want to do and not make it a showtime in front of a council member, because some people have a tendency to do that, So I hope you respect that and know that I'm eager to find out what happened. And I know my ability to weigh in will come in the future as well. But I want to hear the public have a safe space to share their opinions and their thoughts first. So if there's any other questions, if there's time, I'd be happy to answer some.
Who should I ask about the appointments committee?
Probably.
Since you are waiting to learn yourself.
Yeah. I believe the agenda just came out today, so there's probably a staff report there, so we could all read that. And then probably somebody from the rules committee, because they had to have gone through the rules committee first. Okay. And that's I want to say it's Jeanette, Jim Duran, and I think it's
Bill.
Yeah, I think it's Bill McReynolds. Am I pretty close, Jennifer, you think?
I want to say I think it's, well, I don't want to misspeak. I think it's the mayor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I go by first name sometimes.
Yeah.
And I know Christy's fully aware of this because she's lived it for so many years, but I personally sit on 11 different committees on behalf of the city council, from Ventura Regional Sanitation and Beacon and VCTC and several more. So keeping track of all these committees, it's pages of committees, and all of us sit on some committees. And then we try to rotate just out of courtesy and for to have different perspectives. So I hope that answered that question. Yeah.
Here comes Bert.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to talk about water? No.
Just information. We were talking about the fire map, and there's a meeting scheduled on July 1st, and then the consent decrees. In the consent items, they're talking about the fire map, and they've got a good picture of it in there if anybody's interested and they want to see what's going on with the fire map in their houses.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. You tricked me on that one, Bert. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And we're all staying very in tune to what's happening to the fire map. And honestly, there's been a lot of conversations between other entities and collaboration to try to do all we can to lower the risk of significant damage, what we saw 8 years ago, in hopes of not only saving property and saving lives, protecting lives, but also making it more livable here, where we might be able to make a dent on the high cost of insurance that's going on right now. And Dina probably knows all about that. So, all right. And I was
the design standards meeting. There was a public meeting about design standards with a consultant from LA, Kaliski. Do you know if the consultant will be at this meeting? I'm curious.
I'm pretty confident they will be. I think they're in charge of kind of leading that.
Okay, great. Because I thought he was pretty good.
Good to know. I appreciate your feedback on that. I know there's so many other things going on, but I know it's getting late for all of you, but I'm very happy to be here anytime you need me. I'm just glad I remembered.
I reminded you.
Thank you. You know, if I will digress and just share with you, one of my biggest challenges on council has been the city has their own calendaring as uh, program, and then I have my own, and then I have my business. Okay. And I have to have my office manager be able to see my calendar because of all the appointments I have. I hate missing anything. I hate being late to anything. And it's absolutely, I had a meeting today for community development that was set purposely to talk about many of the topics that I'm anxious for you to see over the coming months. Um, and when the day comes up, it just doesn't show up on the calendar. And I cannot figure it out. So I threatened about a month ago, and I'm about ready to do it, is go back to paper. The paper calendar worked very, very well for me. So I'm starting to show my age, I think.
Well, there are too many calendars. There's the Mac calendar, the
Yes.
Outlook calendar, the Google calendar. There's just way too many calendars.
And unfortunately, I'm mentoring a young guy from Rotary, and he saw the problems I'm having and why I'm having them, because they do make sense that I'm having them. And he introduced me to a new third-party software calendar. You know what? At first, I thought, well, this could solve it all. Well, it's just one more calendar at this point. I got a big lift there to fix these.
I think Cherie had a question somewhere in the chat. Main Street Moves question, has there been discussion to keep and have fewer blocks where to get business owners support?
That's a good question. We had those conversations some time ago. It doesn't mean we won't have them again. But right now, the key will be if we want to use the Pedestrian Mall Act for a long-term closure, then it's truly in the hands of the property owners, you know. And because if they say no to it, we have to either double down on our pathway, keeping it closed now, or and work with businesses and others in our community to activate downtown so that everyone wins by keeping it closed, or open it back up. So.
And just in terms of what the chamber looks at it is that open or close, we still believe in continuing the activation of downtown. So being closed is not the only prerequisite for the activation.
Very good point, Dina. Thank you. It's just fun seeing so many people going down there, especially now that we're having warm weather.
Yeah. Well, Doug, if no one has any, does anyone have any questions for Doug? Thankful to Jennifer for covering quite a bit of the stuff that you took it off of his plate, and I'm sure he appreciates that. Do we have any other announcements? And I put the information for the summer stomp, the link to the chamber page that talks about the details of the summer stomp in chat. Took me a minute to find it, but I did, and I put it in there.
I think everybody knows that the fireworks show will be at the college again this year.
Yeah.
I think everybody knows that.
Yep. And then for next month, we will be having our hybrid meeting on July 23rd, and we hold that at CAPS, which is 71 Day Road. Their facility has been so helpful to us to be able to broadcast both a Zoom link and allow us to meet in person. So that is July 23rd. We are looking to do the hybrid meetings quarterly, so that's where the July 23rd date falls in terms of making it a hybrid. If we don't have anything else, I will call our meeting adjourned. Kathy, anything for the good of the cause?
I think I've caused enough this evening.
I'd throw out if anyone has any kids or grandkids who might be interested in Cub Scouts. I'm the new Cub Master for the biggest pack in Ventura County. We meet monthly at Balboa Middle School, not too far from here. So if anyone's interested, shoot me an email. Eric@caccventura.com.
Put it in the chat.
Yeah. Carol, do you have something?
Yes, just a quick question. You remember quite a while ago, I think it was some man from the college was interested in oranges, and he collected them and all that. And the question I'm asking is, do you remember the name of that man? If he still, I know a friend who wants somebody to
glean their trees.
Yeah.
Russell, do you have the contact information for Food Forward?
That's Chris Whalen with Food Forward, but I can get you his contact information. I'll email it to you. I'm pretty sure.
That would be perfect. Thank you. And I'll pass his name on to somebody else.
Sure.
Well, and I'm glad that you are, because that's a great effort for us to not waste our backyard fruit. And if you've got other people who are interested, that's what this is about, making our community stronger by sharing our resources.
Yeah, thanks for making that connection.
Is that something that the college would want to know about directly with their new pickup van?
This is Food Forward. She just has somebody who's got some fruit trees that either need picked, but it's not necessarily going to go to the college.
But would the college be interested as well, is my question.
Oh, I don't think they're set up. If you mean they would send someone to pick the tree, I don't think
not pick, but if somebody did pick, that the college
you thinking
interested in some of the
college
fruit.
has that pantry, that food pantry?
Yeah, because that's where we donated. We had a drive to get our neighbors to pick their trees and bring their produce, and we donated it to the food pantry. And I think that's along the lines of what Kathy is thinking about, is directing our members to have their fruit go directly to the food pantry. Is that what you were thinking, Kathy?
Yeah, I was thinking that Carol's person, whoever it is, if they have fruit already picked, that the college people with their van would be able to pick it up.
No, my question was asking somebody to pick them for them.
Oh, okay. Okay, that would be Chris.
She was even interested in getting them away. She just can't reach the top.
Okay.
All right.
We've had that at our house before, where a group came and picked our trees, and they took like 2,000 pounds of fruit. So I know it's a thing.
Yeah, and Food Forward does do that.
They've done it at my house too, and they're really good. So I'll link you up with them.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm going to call our meeting adjourned. Thank you everyone for coming, and we hopefully will see you in person or on the Zoom on the Zoom. Boy, that makes you feel old, doesn't it? On the Zoom. Anyway, on July 23rd.
Oh my God.
Thanks for having me.
Good
night, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Good job.
Night.
Thanks.